What is up, everybody? Welcome to Outside the Cage. Happy International Fight Week. We're going to be coming at you tomorrow with a preview show, but first we got to recap UFC Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia building a UFC 306 in the Sphere card and some other MMA news that happened this week. How you doing, brother? Happy International Fight Week.
I'm doing great, man. Happy IFW to you as well. It was tough not being on last week. Apologize to all you guys, probably one or two of you guys that were waiting for it. Life got busy. We just couldn't match up at the same time. Summer league, other things be going on, work. But, man, this International Fight Week is just not hitting the same. I'm going to throw these up there really quick for everybody, but here's the last 2 years really quick. This is last year's International Fight Week card, the one we were at.
Bro. So, let me ask you. I know that it's a great card. Don't get me wrong. It's a good card. Do you think you have a little more bias towards it because we were there? Now, don't get me wrong. I think if we stayed home and sat home and watched the card, this card's still better, and the fights were really good. But you just can't.
That's true.
You can't duplicate the nostalgia of, like we talk about all the time. Like, being there is different. So being there for this card, for everything that we were there for, Vegas, it was just a great week to be in Vegas, a great time to be in Vegas. Like, the nostalgia of it obviously meant something, and it lived up to it. I think if obviously it was cool being there, but if the fight sucked, we'd come back and say, yeah, like, well, the fight sucked. But we've been lucky, bro, because I mean, you've been to 3, but I've been to 2, but the 2 that I've been to I've hit 2 for 2 on like them being really good cards. But then again, not just because I was there. Obviously, the nostalgia because I was there, but like you look back and they're like really good cards. Like, this card was a really good card. Obviously the Bo Nickel and Val Woodburn story, him coming in on short notice. Obviously, Bo Nickel's big knockout. Turner and Hooker, Fight of the Year candidate. Dricus beating Whitaker as a huge underdog. Moreno Pantoja, a classic fight. We got a new champion there. And then obviously the main event, Volk and Yair, Volk with the knockout. So, I mean,
hey, don't forget Robbie's retirement as the end of the fight.
Yeah.
That shit was ridiculous. That shit was like, I would say that this International Fight Week had better names on it from 2 years ago. But the one we went to, UFC 290, just some of the best fights we have ever seen on a card, man. Nothing disappointed that night. Remember when Trump and Kid Rock walked in with Dana? And the arena just went nuts. And then Izzy going in the octagon, calling out Dricus. We're finally going to get to see that resolved at UFC 305. But, man, it sucks because I don't want to say Conor McGregor killed International Fight Week, but in a way he did. Because if this was a McGregor Fight Week, we would have the same amount of hype that we had a year ago and 2 years ago for International Fight Week. But that hype's, I mean, it's still going to be a great card. I'm still excited.
Yeah, even 276 was really good. Like, the Adesanya and Cannonier fight didn't live up to the hype, but it was still just great to see Izzy. Izzy came out with the Undertaker shit. That shit was so hard.
I say on paper.
And a lot of it is just like a lot of storylines too. Like, the nostalgia of this card was really good as well. Like, you obviously have the Volk and Holloway story. Nothing needs to be said. Strickland and Pereira. The story behind that was Pereira coming in off fighting 2 or 3 times in the UFC, trying to hunt down Izzy, gets a big knockout over Strickland. O'Malley and Peter Munoz. O'Malley's first like ranked fight, big time fight, and then obviously Adesanya and Cannonier. Anytime Adesanya fights is big. So like the nostalgia of that week was big too, and like I just don't feel it this week.
No, and it fucking sucks, man. Because if it wasn't for the whole McGregor thing and the UFC having to cater everything around Conor McGregor, we would have that same amount of hype for International Fight Week because it would have been insane fights from the early prelims all the way up until the main event. That's what Dana does on International Fight Week, and he picks the McGregor basket because you pay McGregor millions, whereas you could put those tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands into other really good fighters. But I just think they gambled everything on McGregor for International Fight Week, and now it's still a good card, but it's just nothing like this or it's nothing like that right there. We're just
Let
it's
me ask you this.
unfortunate.
If Connor's on this card instead of Alex and Yuri, I still don't think this card's better than the last 2 international fight weeks. Like,
Yeah,
I think I've gotten to the point, bro, where it's like, and maybe it's just as I've learned the sport more and become like more of a true fan of the sport and not so much casual fan, like Connor fighting doesn't really move me like that. Like I wasn't really like yeah, it sucked he wasn't fighting, but like I wasn't like let down. Like I think I'm still gonna watch it as much as I would have watched it if he wasn't fighting. Like I just don't think that he doesn't move me like that anymore because I don't know. I always look at the bigger picture. Like what are you fighting for? Like if he's gonna come make a title run, cool. But like he fights and we're not gonna hear from him again, and then it's just I'm just over it. I'm over it. So like it doesn't move me. Like, yes, seeing him fight's cool. Obviously, it brings a lot of attention to the sport. I love that. But it doesn't move me like a Adesanya and Pereira moved me. It doesn't move me like that.
or like a
It doesn't
Sugar
move
and
me like a
Topuria would.
Adesanya, yeah, like a Sugar and Aljo moved me. Like a Izzy and Dricus is gonna move me. Like a John Jones
Yeah.
coming back moved me. Like it doesn't move me like that because there's just never nothing at stake. It's just a fight.
Yeah, in terms of advancing the sport, Pereira versus Yuri 2 and Diego Lopes versus Ortega, those are better fights for advancing the sport. Which, yeah, I agree with you. Everything you said. That one Connor fight is not worth having a stacked prelims and a stacked early prelims. Trading that for one guy at the top of the card, it's not worth it, and it sucks. But it's true. So if you're in the UFC headquarters, would you move Connor off of, like, he's still gonna headline a pay-per-view, but do you maybe put him on
Yeah.
one of the lower ones, not International Fight Week or the Sphere? You know how there's those pay-per-views that kind of stick out?
Yeah. I don't want to say like you just completely disrespect him or anything like that, but like I think you look at it like I don't think you could allow an international fight week for him. And I do think that there needs to be like if this Pereira and Yuri fight was on the Connor card, that would have been fine. But then also like you can't make a title fight, not the main event. So it's tough. It's tough with Connor because he has to main event. He has to be the guy. I'm not disagreeing with that. Every fight he needs is in should be the main event and should be the headline of pay-per-view. But it's just like you said, they can't stack the card because of the money. And then you can't put a title fight on there because they have to be the main event if it's a title fight. Until someone's fine with changing that rule, I just yeah, I mean, why does he have to headline International Fight Week? Obviously, it sounds cool. It would have been a great story. The timeline that worked out, there really wasn't a title fight that needed to take place during this time, so it worked out. But no, I mean, I still think he's worthy and deserving of, like, the reason we have all this is because of Conor McGregor. The reason me and you were here talking is because of Conor McGregor. The reason why they're able to sell out the Sphere, sell out T-Mobile, have UFC 300, have Sean O'Malley, have guys like this is because of Conor McGregor. So I don't want to take anything away from that. I'm just speaking of right now in this time. I just feel that I don't think he's a detriment to the sport. But you look at the situation we're in now, all the money people spent on this card thinking they're going to see Conor McGregor, and then he's not here. It just lets everybody down.
Yeah. Oh, man, you just spit some fucking facts right there. Oh my goodness. Because say the UFC right now, it's a really fast boat that's dragging along in the ocean. It's moving along. And then there's this McGregor thing just kind of dragging it, slowing it down a tiny bit. And there's all these people attached to it, just kind of relying on McGregor as their UFC link. So these people that buy the pay-per-view just for McGregor or buy those tickets for McGregor, then McGregor drops out. That's all they're going to think of the UFC. They're going to be like, they let me down. They're not going to see it for what we see it as, the great fights, the crazy stories, the underdogs, the no names on the prelims that come up out of nowhere. Damn, dude. Yeah, it's just, I don't want to say we got to let Connor go, but I think he's almost got to win us back in a way.
Because I would say in most pay-per-view cards that don't include Conor McGregor, there's always obviously the main event, but the co-main is always really good. So like the co-main's always really good to where like if something happens with the main fight, the co-main can still hold it for a fill-in. Everyone would understand that. Like that's cool. Sometimes we have multiple weekends where there's 2 title fights. They could fill in. That's fine. But you put all this on Conor, like you said, you don't stack the card because you can't financially. You can't put a title fight there because Conor has the main event. So you're obviously he hasn't pulled out a lot of fights in his career, but like you put him on a card, he pulls out. Now your co-main's not gonna sell pay-per-view money.
Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like gambling a lot into that Conor basket that you don't have to gamble into the Volk basket or another guy that's going to do the same thing and has a higher spot in the sport.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they can't. Again, I'm not sitting on here saying screw Conor and they need to move on. They don't. Conor's great. Conor's a legend. Conor's the reason we have this sport. Again, let me reiterate that. But I would have went Chandler and Volk this weekend.
But it's like I don't know what that does though. For what? Like Volk's a title fighter at this point. I feel like Chandler's more the Volk. Yeah, at least for one more. He definitely gets the title shot next. He has to. He hasn't.
Why does he get a title shot next?
He lost he defended the featherweight belt 4 or 5 times, loses it once, and he doesn't get I think his next fight has to be for the title. Like
really?
I'm not saying he's gonna. I think Max is next for the title, but I think
Volk his next fight's for the title.
I think there's a chance we get Volk Max 4, and I've been seeing it out there more. It's not a crazy thing anymore. It could happen if Max beats Topuria. That is the most likely fight, and I don't think anyone's mad about it.
Dude, that'd be crazy. Just like everything that they went through, and then like they've gone through since, and then again, that'd be nuts.
And it's not like they're forcing it at all. Like they were trying to avoid it, but it still happened just because they keep winning. Like Volk kept winning for the last 5-6 years. Max he's only lost to Volk, and I hope Max beats Ilya so bad. That would make up for everything, man.
Yeah, to see him have that title one more time.
How do you feel about that one? There's no odds out or anything like that, but just predictions wise, what's your initial thoughts?
The way like the sport is and the way it is, I just don't see how the UFC gods let Max win.
It sucks to say like it's the Ilya Topuria next generation type shit. It's the next era. But Max has that magic to him, man. I said, remember before the Gaethje fight when we were doing the predictions, I'm like, I don't have a good reason, but I'm genuinely picking Max. And I feel like I'm going to be that same way for the Topuria fight because like Ilya's probably faster. He's probably more technical. He might even be stronger. He might be a better grappler, but I don't know. There's just something about Max Holloway when he gets locked in that octagon. He's a different animal.
Yeah.
All right. Should we? Damn, great fucking intro.
Yeah, we got to get into the Saudi card. Robert Whittaker with a knockout. Yes, you heard that right. Robert Whittaker with a knockout over Ikram Aliskerov in the first round. What a
knockout it was.
That was nuts.
Bro, that uppercut. Anytime someone lands a rear uppercut, it just looks so badass because they have to wind that thing all the way up from the backhand, just send it all the way down from the belly up to the chin. And that was, whoa, I can't lie. I did one of, you know how I love those bets where it's like a fighter to win in the round to start? I did Robert Whittaker to win in round 3 to start for plus 140. And I was like, oh, that's locked. Robbie's just going to pick him apart.
I know, dude. I put a lot on over 2.5.
But it was hard to even be mad at it.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, how could I be mad at Robert Whittaker getting a
I was mad that I didn't just put that on Whittaker to win.
Because it was, dude, I felt disrespected for Whittaker by those lines.
That line just scared me though. Like, why? It looked too easy.
Little trap game type shit. Yeah. Dude, I think we both still have a little bit of PTSD from 2 years ago when we put like we were we relied our whole night on Whitaker winning pretty much. I
He was in every
parlayed
parlay.
him with when him and Dricus fought. Pretty much every bet I did, I parlayed with Whitaker money line just because I was like, he's gonna win. It's gonna boost it a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you believe Whitaker when he says that was an off night against Dricus? And like, because seeing his last two performances,
Yeah,
shit.
I mean that
he
happens,
got
bro. I mean, we haven't seen Izzy's stats, but I mean that's just how Izzy looked versus Sean Strickland.
Yeah. Like, I thought Whitaker's chin was gone in the Dricus fight, but then he gets hit by Paulo Costa's spinning wheel kick, like clean at UFC 298. And then in the first round, he got hit by that. And he went on to win the fight and dominate. So, I mean, obviously, he still has a chin. And then you see him a couple nights ago against Ikram. He still looks like a fucking guy.
What if I told you a year ago that there's a very good possibility that Max Holloway and Volk fight again and that Whitaker and Izzy fight again?
I wouldn't have believed you, but I'd be happy to hear it.
Yeah.
Like, Max and Whitaker are two guys that you can just get behind.
Yeah. So that's the question up for debate now is what's next for Whitaker? The easy pick obviously seems like Sean Strickland versus Whitaker. Winner of Izzy and Dricus. But Sean's saying he's going to wait.
Yeah, I'll pull up the quote right here. You want to read it off?
This is Sean Strickland here via X, sorry.
Nah, Twitter. We still call it Twitter around here.
I keep getting asked to fight Whitaker. I beat Izzy. The world knows I beat Dricus. Whitaker lost to both. I am the number one contender. I defend that spot easily against Costa. I will wait. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yes. At first glance is this. At first glance, it's like, oh yeah, Whitaker versus Strickland. But I forgot for a quick second that Strickland already beat Paulo. So if you're the champion, you lose, you fight a non-title fight and you win, I think you're back again.
You shouldn't have to fight twice.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to fight twice. It was a
split decision. He didn't get knocked out or anything like that.
And I think it's, as much as I want to see them fight, because I love this division, I love kind of like that 4 or 5 group of guys. I think it's best if Sean Strickland waits for both sides, for the UFC and for Sean Strickland, because whoever wins that Izzy or Dricus fight, that fight sells, and that's a big storyline.
Oh hell yeah! Either way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like that either way.
Where does Robert go though? Because I agree that Strickland deserves the next title shot. We said if he beats Costa, he gets the shot, and he beat him convincingly. So he's got to be in line. But you look at the middleweight rankings. Let me get it up right now. I meant to put a picture in here for it so we could all see it. But basically, Strickland 1, Izzy 2, Whitaker 3, Imavov 4. I mean, that's a possibility, but that's basically like fighting.
Okay, so
like fighting Ikram again for Whitaker.
Let me see if in a crazy world, I don't think this happens, but let's say in a crazy world, I'm trying to think. Dricus beats Izzy. See, but here's the thing with Whitaker is if they give Sean Strickland the next title shot, obviously after the Izzy and Dricus fight, whoever Sean Strickland fights, if he fights Izzy again and wins, you go third fight. You have to. If he fights
Strickland 2-0?
No, if Izzy beats Strickland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You do that again. But if Strickland beats Dricus, you do that again too. So it's a weird spot for Rob to be in.
Really weird, bro. It's tough for him.
I don't think Whitaker has the right to be calling for the title because he lost to Dricus, and Izzy. Yeah.
And Strickland's not in the title fight right now.
Yeah. So, he has I think if you're Dricus, you have a right to call for the Strickland fight, but you're also not mad if it goes to, like, Strickland has a reason of why he's next. I mean, you can try and do the Hamzat and Whitaker fight again. What about, again, and I think this only matters if Dricus wins again.
Mm-hmm.
Or if Dricus wins, like, reclaims his title. What about Whitaker and Kamaru?
Ooh, I just don't know. Is Kamaru? I've heard he's staying at welterweight, but I feel like there's more for him at middleweight right now because he's not really
Yeah.
going to get another Leon fight. And
Dude, I wish and obviously Hamzat won it fair and square, but I wish knowing what we know now, I wish Kamaru would have won that Hamzat fight.
if it was a 5-rounder, Kamaru would have beat him. If it was
Yeah.
a 5-rounder, man. The fact that Kamaru took it on 10 days notice.
Dude. Yeah, and that's why, and again, you lose a fight, but I think that kind of like the Jorge Masvidal situation, you take a fight that short notice, you save the card, you do all this. I think if you fight a close enough fight, you get another big fight or you get another shot at it. I think you went mute on me, brother.
Good looks. You got me now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We'll be editing that out. But basically, it's kind of tough for Kamaru at welterweight right now because a lot of the guys at the top of those rankings are just young killers where he would be fighting down, which is ideally not what someone in his spot wants to be doing because he kind of deserves those Dustin Poirier type big money fights at this point. But if you want to go for the title, you're going to have to get through a Shavkat or a JDM. I feel like Shavkat and JDM, those are the two that stick out to me at welterweight. But yeah, Kamaru's in a weird spot. I don't really see a great fight for him at middleweight or welterweight. But dude, a Whitaker versus Kamaru title eliminator at middleweight.
Yeah, that's big.
Sign me up.
That's big. Good card. Volkov beat Sergey, goes to unanimous decision. Seeing Sergey go past the first round was definitely strange. I actually had the over there. I don't know why. I saw something earlier this week. I had the over. I was big on that. I didn't have it. I didn't have enough balls to go to distance, but I did have the over on that, so I hit on that. Gaslam, good win over D-Rod. Shara Magomedov got the knockout round 3.
Yep.
What do you like for him next?
I got a couple notes for Shara Magomedov. It's a tough one because he can't fight in America, so you can't really put him on any pay-per-views or anything like that. I saw Michel Pereira.
Whoa.
And I was like, bro, that fight, you could put that third on a pay-per-view. And everyone, honestly, even if that if that was a co-main to a Conor card, obviously they're not big names, but no one's mad about that. That's a top 10 most entertaining fight in the UFC right now is Shara the Bullet Magomedov versus Michel Pereira. But I've got to say that cage grab, I was not a fan. I put a little bit of money on Tricoli just because I thought Magomedov's grappling is not good enough for him to be a minus 750 favorite right now in the UFC. And it almost happened, but he grabbed the cage, didn't get a point taken, which I really thought he should have, but he didn't. And then a note on Kelvin Gastelum.
I had over 1.5 there, plus 120. I was like, I don't think Shara can finish this guy early.
Nah, he's a great striker. Top 5 striker in the middleweight division, but his grappling is very, very bad. He's not like Izzy by any means. Like Izzy is so good because no one can take him down. His takedown defense is top tier as well. Like what I think it was either the Viper or the Professor a while ago. We were talking about best wrestler.
You can't say he's not a good wrestler because he doesn't get taken down.
They said he was one of the best in the UFC, right? When we were talking about it.
He's like, you can't say he's not a grappler just because he doesn't engage in the grappling, but he doesn't get taken down. So
yeah, it means he wins all the grappling exchanges where he could keep it on his feet. I had a note about Kelvin Gastelum. He's a fat fuck. He needs to either go back to middle. He just needs to go back to middleweight. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
It's crazy. He missed weight so bad that they just changed it to a middleweight fight. And Daniel Rodriguez was pissed about it because he cut weight all the way to 170. And then imagine finding out that the guy you're fighting,
Yeah.
another
Getting
top level
tougher at
guy,
all.
just isn't cutting weight at all. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, we're just gonna fight at 185 now. Sorry. And it kind of showed later in the fight. Gastelum just laid on him. It was 1-1 going into maybe two, or maybe Kelvin was up 2-0, but it was close-ish going into the third round. Kelvin just lays on him using that big old belly. It was tough. And I have a question about Sergey Pavlovich for you. Is he another Derek Lewis? Did Tom Aspinall turn him into another Derek Lewis?
I just think he's had bad matchups. I think Tom Aspinall's one of the greats.
Yeah.
And then I just think no one's ever really. I mean, people have finished Volkov, but he's a tough finish.
He's a problem at that division. Like, you got to be really good to beat him.
Yeah, so I don't. Maybe I need to see 1 or 2 more fights, but I'm not ready to say that just yet.
People were saying he was the white Francis Ngannou, and he's definitely not that anymore because Francis would just walk through anything.
Yeah.
Never saw Francis not walk through something besides, I guess, the first Stipe fight. But even then, like, Stipe had to take him down.
This could be the turning point for him. Like, he looks so bad after the first round, so it's like he's never been outside of that. So it's like, all right, like you're either gonna like fix it or you're just gonna be like a Derek Lewis and you're gonna go balls to the wall and you're gonna win or you're gonna lose.
I always think, like, imagine if Coach Tim got his hands on a Sergey.
Yeah.
I feel like, man, I want to. Sergey, I think he's at American Top Team, which is obviously an elite gym. But dude, I feel like with that type of crazy power, you can do something insane with that.
Yeah.
All right. And we said a quick episode tonight. My bad. We've been dragging it out, but we'll hop over to the next one. UFC Saudi Arabia, great debut. Also, the fight guy, the Arabian, I don't remember his name, but he's the one doing all the boxing stuff. He's making big moves. I think he's gonna try to like bully the UFC out of MMA eventually. To be honest, he's kind of on that world domination type shit. He's the one making all the big boxing fights where you just see big names put against each other starting to creep into America. Said he wants a pay-per-view for the next Saudi fight, which is already like breaking the contract because the UFC signed the deal for like 3 years of fight night. So it's kind of a bad sign. Like, you know, just initially when you see someone wanting to like go back on the contract you signed, you could tell he's like bad intentions. All right. Last words. Now, UFC 306. I should have put a picture up here, but we're talking about the Sphere. This is going to be, as Dana White said, the greatest live sporting event in history. Not combat sports, not basketball, not football, not baseball, any sport ever. This is going to be the greatest one, the Sphere. He said he's already put $16 million into this thing. It's a one-off. We're never going to see it again. And I believe it because you see videos of how concerts look in the Sphere. It's insane. So I'm guessing the Octagon's going to be – actually, we'll talk about this closer to it. I'll put pictures in here and shit to explain what I'm saying right now. But basically, this is just going to be an insane-ass card. And based off of what we know at the moment, obviously things can change. This is a sport. Things change every day in. But we're going to build our UFC 306 ideal card. And in the main event, obviously Suga versus Merab is the rumored main event. We've also got Max versus Ilia Topuria. If you had to choose, which one would you choose to main event the Sphere between those two?
I knew that question was coming. Has to be Max and Ilya. You got to go the heavier. You got to go the heavier weight. You got to go the more historic weight class. Max is a legend. Ilya's on the come up. It's got to be that.
I was gonna say we're the biggest Suga fan. Like, some would probably say we're Suga dick riders, but I would say Max and Topuria as well because both sides of that fight are ridiculous. Suga's carrying Suga versus Marab. In terms of like the fight itself, yes, Marab's entertaining outside the cage. He's cool in press conferences. It'll be funny in the countdowns and embedded. But the fight fans, you tell me you're getting Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. That's a little bit. It's a little bit more enticing than Suga versus Marab, because Suga versus Marab. It's interesting. It's going to be striker versus grappler. It's going to be, can Suga stay on the feet and piece Marab up, or can Marab get him down? But Max and Ilia, that's just ridiculous. You've got the best boxer in the UFC versus the fucking next generation best boxer in the UFC.
Yeah, so, I agree.
So for ideal UFC 306 main card, it hurts to say, but we'll throw Max and Ilia as the main card. I'll make a graphic of this and I'll post it on our socials. I was gonna do it before we got on here, but we hadn't gotten all the details out yet. But we'll go Max Ilia main card. We did hear reports that they might be in Salt Lake City. Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria in the October card. We've gotten bet on a head kick knockout, because the last two Salt Lake City cards, it was Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman and Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. So I don't know if the Mormons got some dirt on the UFC or something, but they've been getting some really good fights.
Yeah.
So realistically, it'll be Suga versus Marab headlining UFC 306, but the outside the cage perfect card, we've got Max and Ilia on there. And for the co-main, it's not really our choice. Kind of got predetermined. Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. I'm not mad at it. I think it's one of the...
If it's the third fight, it's really good.
Has to be. Is this the best girl fight you can make, though, right now?
Is Amanda Nunes coming back?
Ooh, Amanda versus Kayla. That's the one, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's one more fight for Kayla.
Yeah. One more fight for Kayla. One more fight for Amanda.
You know the move? Get Kayla on a big pay-per-view, maybe like third or fourth fight. She wins. Have Amanda in the crowd. Kayla calls out Amanda.
Call her out.
Maybe Amanda comes in the octagon like Suga and Aljo did, and then get that fight set up. That's the biggest women's fight in the last, probably since like Ronda versus whoever she fought, whichever the last one was the biggest for her.
Yeah.
So main event, Max versus Ilia, co-main, Valentina versus Grasso. Unfortunately, who you got as a winner for that? Valentina versus Grasso. I believe Grasso has one win and there's one draw in the series. So kind of a weird one.
I'll go Valentina.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know. Mexican Independence Day. Yeah. Mexican Independence Day in the Sphere. I don't know. But I think Valentina.
I don't think age matters as much for the woman, because they're not knocking each other out anyway. And then third fight, big one, like you said, matters a lot. I got 3 options written down. Obviously, these aren't the only 3. Injuries could play a part. So for the first one, I had Colby Covington versus Gilbert Burns. And I'm going to read them all off before you give me your choice. For the second one, I had Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Jack Della Maddalena. And I believe this is the one to make, but we don't know if Jack's healthy yet. I didn't look at his timetable. I know he had surgery for the broken arm at UFC 299, but I would hope he could get back. And then for the third option, we had Money Moicano versus Beneil Dariush. So Colby versus Gilbert, Shavkat versus JDM, or Moicano versus Beneil. Which one you got?
I'm going to go Shavkat and JDM because I think it has higher stakes than all those 3 fights listed.
Those are like two potential future champs right there.
Yeah.
When you name that fight.
Can we get Yasmin Howergy on that card, please?
Hello. I bet you she's on the pre's or early pre's. I bet you she's on. No, she's got it, dude. Mexico loves her. She won at UFC Mexico. So
yeah.
I think her getting knocked out though, it changed up her fighting style. She might win more fights because of it, but she's not going to.
Are they going to have a Mexican Independence card without Brandon Moreno on there?
He's on a hiatus. That's what they say. But I've been hearing Brandon Moreno versus Henry Cejudo could be a possibility.
We gotta have Moreno or Yair on the card, I think.
Yeah. Because they're like the two that have
That
brought
shit
Mexican MMA into this next era.
that shit was electric in there for those two in Vegas.
I
International Fight Week
forgot,
last year.
bro. I remember Yair's walkout was especially cold.
Yeah.
I don't know what song it was, just like
Yeah.
oh, but
But yeah, we need
Pantoja.
to find something from Moreno or Yair on that card.
Yeah, I know you had a little suggestion for Yair. That could be the third fight.
Yeah.
Yair. So if Diego Lopes gets out of this fight with minimal damage, which he could, because Ortega, he's shown to get whooped in the first round. But yeah, I could see Diego Lopes beating Ortega quick and Ortega versus Yair. And then the fourth fight, you spit this one out. Dominic Reyes on the card, road to the top. And then I threw out a little Carlos Ulberg. Since he's off of UFC 303, that was the original fight way back in the day for a fight night, like either late last year or early this year. So why not match them up? They both already agreed to fight each other. Why not in the Sphere? Who says no?
Not me.
And then Raul Rosas has got to open the card. I don't know against who. It's tough. It's tough with Raul because we can't give him.
As much as I hate to say it, just like give him whoever, and just like as long as he's not a wrestler, and just let him win.
Because I'm not gonna say he's not relevant for another like 2-3 years, but we know he's not gonna make his title push for another 2-3 years at bantamweight. There's just too many big dogs in that yard right now.
Just give him someone who doesn't know how to wrestle, and just let him celebrate and win on Mexican Independence Day.
Come on. All right, so for the main card, got Max versus Ilya headlining, Valentina versus Alexa Grasso co-main, Jack De La Maddalena versus Shavkat Rakhmonov for the third fight. Fourth fight, Dominic Reyes versus Carlos Ulberg. And then we'll go Raul Rosas Jr. versus Brad Katona. Or I guess Brad knows how to wrestle. Brad would be a tough test. But anyway, other MMA news. We're transitioning. We built the perfect card. I want to get your thoughts on this, Dimes. I'm gonna read this off. It's a quote from Big Poetan about maybe the greatest rivalry in combat sports. I've been watching videos. I've been getting sold. It might be the greatest rivalry in combat sports. So, Alex Ferreira, I'm gonna guess his translator said this, but someone asked him about going back to middleweight to fight Izzy if he beat Dricus. He said, "No, I wouldn't go back to middleweight to face Israel Adesanya. I don't even think I can make 185 pounds anymore. Plus, I feel super motivated at light heavyweight. If there were talks about another match with him, it would have to be at light heavyweight." So, is there a chance that we see these two in the octagon again? Because they're 1-1 in the octagon. Say Izzy beats Dricus, beats Strickland. There's no one left for him at middleweight after that. Maybe Hamzat, but that's not looking super likely right now. Why not? Retirement fight for both of them.
Nah. I think that story's in the past. It was a great rivalry. I think the later it goes, they're obviously older. They're not getting any younger. I think if Izzy beats Dricus and then beats Sean Strickland, I think Izzy's done.
You always do keep it real. I was hoping for something better right there, but
and yeah, there's no chance of it ever happening in middleweight. That's dead. If it does happen again, it'd have to be a light heavyweight.
But like Izzy wants that double champ status. You know, he's a fan of the sport. He loves MMA. He sees the double champ.
It was a bad matchup at 85. It's a worse matchup at 205.
But I mean, there's a reason Izzy was the favorite every time they fought. There's a reason. Like it's one of the greatest rivalries for a reason. Izzy was the thing is, it's like Izzy's more skilled than Pereira, but for every 5 times Izzy hits him, it equals 1 that Alex hits Izzy. So it's just,
Yeah.
oh man.
I'd argue he said I can't make 85 no more. I'd argue he never did make 85.
Hello. Where were those fights at? Miami and where was their first fight at?
New York.
Oh, yeah.
Madison Square Garden.
New York. They could be corrupt over there in the mob.
Yeah.
So if you had to bet money, you would say what would your odds be for them not fighting again?
Oh, it's a huge favor if they don't fight again.
Like minus 800?
No, I wouldn't go that. It's like minus 300, 350. They don't fight again.
Okay, I like that.
It's just no, like, I don't see a path for it, and I don't think either one really wants it.
I think they both know, like, pretty much every other fight is easier for them. The way that they know each other and the way that it's just such a sick
like game recognized game, bro. Like this dude knows, like, bro, like I can't fucking beat you, and I don't think you could beat me, but like I don't want no fucking problems.
It's not like fucking basketball where you just show up and you're like, KD and LeBron, like we don't know, but
I genuinely think they both fear each other in a respect way. Not like scared, but like they both fear each other in a respect way.
It's like, why fight him when I could fight this guy for the same amount of money and the same amount of clout and everything?
Yeah.
Really, dude. I was thinking about it. It might be the best rivalry in combat sports history.
Yeah, because their fights were so good too.
Every single one. Single one.
And they were just in classic places, bro. Miami and Madison Square Garden. Like, you couldn't get any better than that.
And even the kickboxing ones, it was a bad decision, so that leaves controversy. And then in the second one, Izzy was beating Pereira, and then Pereira knocks him out. So
I just don't like the fight for either one. I mean, that's like I said, I think it's in the past. I think they're both on to not greater things, but they have other stories to finish.
Yeah.
I love what Alex is doing at light heavyweight. And quite frankly, bro, being biased, I like Alex Pereira. And I don't want to have to not like him again because the whole rivalry thing made me not like him, and I like him. So I don't want to go back to not liking him because he's truly one of the best to ever do it. So I don't want to go through that again. I like where he is now. I like where our relationship's at right now. So I don't want to have to. I don't want to.
I was about to say you probably like being an Alex Pereira fan and just like genuinely being able to be a fan of him and like enjoy his content and his fights and everything.
I used to have to come on here and hate him, bro. Remember those days? Hated him.
You used to have to just pick and choose every little thing.
Yeah.
Man, good time. Hey, we're almost at our 2-year anniversary, bro. Damn. We've got to do something for it, but I think the first week of July, because remember it was after we watched International Fight Week 2 years ago. We started the pod.
Yep.
So we're about to be at our 2 years, bro. Hey, remember I would say 99% of podcasts don't make it to 50 episodes?
Yeah, I think it's time for another live stream and get drunk.
Yep, we definitely got one coming to y'all in Palm Springs.
Oh yeah, we're back on that.
Hopefully that's not during the off season. It might be during like the weeks when the UFC is off, huh?
Nah, we should be good. We'll be all right. And now we'll just do a pod.
Oh yeah, and we're getting another live stream to y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
One more thing before we get out of here. We said a quick one. Holy shit, 45 minutes. That's what happens when we don't get on here for 2 weeks. We got too much to talk about. But
is this real?
I don't know. Kevin Holland put it on his Instagram.
Okay. I need you to find this out because this makes 0 sense.
The reason it happened is because Macy Barber pulled out of the main event versus Rose.
Yeah, but I heard Rose, they were trying to find another fight for Rose because they want Rose to main event still.
I don't know, man. I don't know. This is from Kevin Holland's Instagram, so I probably shouldn't even be putting that up. We like to post legit things on this show. That one might not be. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. We'll be back tomorrow for the super preview. Let's get it.
Hell yeah. Doses.